What's up everyone, we're coming in with our very first Warhammer 3 replay. Going to be doing a ton of replays. We're coming in here with the Nurgle versus the Wood Elves. Hope everybody's doing well. Sit back, have a watch of this. It's always going to be fun with these ones. I'm a very new player, new to casting, so we're learning everything along the way. And we're going to get some replays out, hopefully 2 a week or so. So we've got Temple versus myself in this game. This was just a multiplayer game I played about a week ago, considering I've been playing the game for just under 2 weeks. Nurgle, to my knowledge, is not the strongest faction, and they pretty much widely regarded as one of the weakest factions, so of course I'm going to try and make them work as best I can and try and figure out how I can fight as many people as I can with them. So now that the battle's started, we will get rid of me off your screen so that you can see what's going on. We should be good to go. So I've come in with a pretty generic army. I went sort of metal over the Plague Bearer style, Doublefoot Cultist and Kugath. Love Doublefoot Cultist on Nurgle and on Khorne. As I said, very limited play experience, but I've had a lot of success with it, or any success I have had on both factions. I've pretty much always had Doublefoot Cultist and Kugath for Nurgle, or Doublefoot Cultist Valkyr for Khorne. So we're going to just push up this top point. Nurgle doesn't have a lot of mobility, so we're just sort of sending a little bit to threaten the bottom point, and then mainly go for the top point and try and push over onto him to save sort of having to run back and forward too much. So we've got a Glade Lord here for the Wood Elves. Can be dangerous, a lot of shooting if we sort of want to duke, but with Kugath he's got such high health pool that you sort of want them, I want them to sort of try and focus him. We've got plenty of healing on Kugath, plenty of healing on Foot Cultist, we've got the regeneration. I did bring the Nurglings, his breath spell to obviously keep triggering Children of Nurgle, and then Fleshy Abundance is just a must have. So we're just going to sort of line up here in front of the Foot Elves on the edge of the point and try and get these Marauders just shields facing front. We want to absorb as much ammunition as they can. He's wrought out the Sylvan Knights, which are a devastating unit, and for someone as slow as Nurgle they can become a big problem very quickly. So you can see on this bottom objective here we've got the archers just shooting directly into the front of our Marauders. So for the price of them, they're Hagbane tips, so they're going to do poison damage, they're going to do well, but for what they're shooting into, I don't really mind. They can take that as much as they want. We've got the two-ended axes coming in to try and fight the Treekin. Treekin are an insane unit. They will just hold for eons, so they're someone you really want to get to at the start and try and really get down and work on them as much as you can. So I've spawned in some reinforcements now. We've got, seeing the Treekin, I spawned in some more great weapons down the bottom, and I spawned in some bats to try and start and shut down, sorry, so not bats, the Furies, to try and shut down these archers so that we can try and start and lock that bottom point down a little bit, as he hasn't sent too much in there. So now that the battle started, we'll just flick to attack view just to see what's happening. So we've got some more archers coming in, reinforcements for the bottom point, which again we're okay. We've got good armor, we've got the Furies there doing their work, we've got the Marauders coming around. So now you'll see that the Wood Elves are now going to start and push to my home objective, as we've got Kugath moving up, and we're just sort of posturing a little bit, just messing around. So I've sent in my Cultist of Nurgle just to sort of chase off. The Cultist of Nurgle obviously has regeneration, so very nice unit. If they're not going to shoot at it, you can just run him around. We've always got Kugath throwing his spells in here and there. It's nice to have this big mobile 15k health pool artillery piece, and you know, decent melee stats as well. He's got good weapon damage, he's got poison, he's got armor pierce, he does magic damage, he does magic damage on range as well, so it's really nice. So we're just sort of taking this point. We've got good capture weight over here. The fight seems to be very much at the bottom at the moment. The two lords just trading blows with each other. We spawned some toads in. Toads anti-infantry, again very good. So we're about to eat a very big charge here, which we're going to zoom right in on just so we can see it. Big lances down. They catch the side of the unit, which slows the charge up a little bit, but nevertheless absolutely sends those Marauders of Nurgle back into the Shadow Realm. Big charge, and they're almost going to instantly break up. Plague Toads are going to come in and take a charge from the Glade Riders, but that was just a bit of miss micro for me. You're going to see quite a lot of miss micro in these first few months of play. So we've got archers, reinforcements, lots of cav coming in. So it is quite a tight point. So even though the cav will get decent charges, once they're in on the point, there's quite a lot of density. You can see Kugath still shooting over the top there at everyone. And then we've got the Sylvan Knights causing absolute havoc in the backfield, miss microing some Marauder Horsemen there again, but the Marauder Horsemen should be able to run the 77 reduced speed 60? No, so they're a little bit of a speed reduction. Those Marauders are going to pay the toll and go straight back to the Shadow Realm, or at least retreat off the back of the map. You can see that we start to move a cultist down to the bottom point to reinforce there. The cultist with a Plague Bearer summon and all the other little bits on him. So I'd like to bring the Warrior Bane, or at least the Icon of Eternal, so that we can just get that AoE over time. Just get him in there and he's just going to cause massive debuffs, which is really nice to see. Up on the top objective, we're still not really doing anything, just posturing up. I have no need to push. If he wants to waste ammo shooting in the front, that's up to him. Kugath has good range all over the map, so we can just happily leave him up there, and we want him to fight on that point. So it's really just this bottom point. His Glade Lord's taken a little bit of damage. Kugath's been keeping him honest. We're going to try and shut down these Sylvan Knights for the first time in the game, who have caused absolutely havoc. What are they up to already? Yeah, or 780 value. So for quite early in the game, they're doing good value for 125 for 7. We have bought in for the Forsaken. These are probably one of my favourite units on the Nurgle roster, for the fact that they have Poison for a debuff, and then they have Frenzy for a buff, and they obviously can get healed over time. Some more Furies summoned in. We just want to keep them honest, keep their archers honest, always be sort of drip feeding Furies in. We never want them to just be able to stand there and just volley. So these archers are 494 on there with half ammo, so I've got decent value, and these ones are at 340 with about half ammo, so not too bad on the value, but they've taken damage, both units, so we've been doing something to keep them honest. We're going to try and trap in these Sylvan Knights, who have been causing us the biggest problem in the game, and see if we can spawn some Plague Bearers in to protect our sides. We're going to try and get in and kill them from behind. The Forsaken are almost in, and then we just, again, should be unsummoning these units. A little bit of miss micro, but it happens. Let's move back over to this left objective again, just posturing, nothing too crazy happening. I've decided to move some units over to see if I can draw a push out, which, when we've got a little bit of supplies saved up, so we've got a few Vanguard points and a point right behind that we can, but the time it would take them to clear off all of these Marauders and Kugath along with a cultist is these Chaos Warriors, 100 with silver shields on the front. There'll be time to reinforce, and this is the point we really want to get back. So controlling this bottom point is very, very easy once you get it, and once you get the capture weight on it. So you can see that we have flipped the capture weight a little bit, and it's going to start taking over. But if we take too many units off the point, we're not gonna be able to stay on there. So we really need to keep working and bumping and grinding and doing those things, and just really work them down. We just want to mortar and pestle, just grind them down slowly. We've got a lot of units in retreat. We've got a big treatment coming in, so we're going to need something to deal with him. My poor cultist is getting beaten on by the Glade Lord, but he's trading okay, considering that's their lord versus just one of my foot single entities. We're very happy to take that trade. He's already used his Plague Bearer summon, so if he's going to hold him in place, but that cultist will come back. He's got good leadership. So they've made a big push on this top point. Now that I've moved some units down, we sort of lap back with one, and as you can see, we're now going to take the fight, and we're just going to push heavily onto the point. We don't want to just give this point up for nothing. So we're still taking the bottom point. We're pushing in. We're going to engage these Shield Guard over here, the Eternal Guard, which we're going to trade okay into. We're going to trade okay on both sides. And then Kugath and the Foot Cultist are going to do work in the middle here. They aren't going to go down without a fight either. We're going to send some Marauders in to help out. With no archery coming in, I guess that's a bit of a miss micro from his side. He's not shooting anything, which gives me the chance to get these Marauders in from the side and come in and start and cause a bit of terror. There was a lot of micro going on down the bottom. He's got a lot of retreating units. I have Furies coming through, so we've sort of been able to draw his attention away from the battle up the top and just grind down there while we sort of send some Furies into the back lines to try and take his attention away from what's happening up the top. I decided to just straight charge these archers with Hagbane tips. They don't have very high melee attack. They've got better stats than the throwing axes, but sort of my idea behind that when I was microing down the bottom is I just didn't know if they were going to start shooting, but once I realized they weren't, I sort of started pulling them off and decided to send these dogs into the rear of this unit that was almost likely going to beat my Marauders, which will guarantee us the win. In the center here, we've got Kugath and the cultist just grinding down, taking next to no damage. So our cultist is at his healing cap, but he's still got his summon and he's having a great day. We're trading well into these Shriekin. This is a very dangerous thing that you shouldn't do here. He's double stacking these units where he's just got a side charge on. Spells will absolutely rinse that. So these are things we're just learning as we go. Down the bottom here, the Treeman's in, but he's going to have a bit of a rough day with absolutely no support. We've got a few low units here, which is not too bad, but these Forsaken, Cultists, and Chaos Warriors will start chipping it down. We've got some spawn in. Get some Unbreakable units on a point is always a very good idea. We've got what's left of this unit is just routed off, trying to throw in a little bit. We're trying to get some units unsummoned. We're going to Fury in again to just keep them honest on those back lines. Send some Marauders through to chase off a few guys. And as we go, we've got some Marauders who have massively overextended here, who are paying the price by just getting kited away and absolutely shot down by the Way Watchers. But again, 100 armor and silver shield, if you can sort of face them more than anything. And then this summon here is something I didn't see originally, but these are an absolutely devastating unit for the Wood Elves Zotes. They come in with a Bound Earthblood and the other one called Bound Flesh to Stone, so massive physical resistance, massive heal capacity. They will cause absolute carnage if you leave them unchecked or don't do something to try and keep them honest. So the good thing is we've won this top fight, so everything's in full retreat. Bottom fight, we're sort of just going to have to grind down with the Treeman because he's got such a high health pool. He's got such high armor. We just need to grind that down. Keep bringing in armor piercing units to try and keep chipping him away. So I was trying to bring these Chaos Warriors back to the point. My Fury's untargeted, which is happening to me quite a bit, so it's something I'm learning, just to keep an eye on those units, that they're not sort of, if a unit moves too far away or something, they retarget something, we'll pick them back up in a second. Our poor Chaos Warriors did eat an absolute charge off the Glade Riders with spears, so they're doing work. More Bat Summon to come in just to try and, again, fly straight over the top into those archers and keep them busy. So here, because we've won this top fight and we've won it pretty convincingly, and we've got a few units running around, the Zotes now have to make a decision. Do they want to leave this objective with so many units surrounding them and try and start and grind down some of my units, or do they stay the objective and hold it? Because there's just not a lot of capture weight up there for the Wood Elves at the moment, and we're in a pretty convincing place. We've got more supplies coming for reinforcements, so I decide here to do quite a decent push off the objective to try and push away from everything. So now that the cavalry are trying to charge into our Furies, we get a chance to maybe pull a few of them down with the spawn of Nurgle. We've got more two-handed armor-piercing axes arriving, just as our cultist is struggling again. But these cultists, they'll rout and come back and rout and come back. If they don't have something on them just to constantly work them down or chase them completely off the battlefield, they'll just keep coming back over and over and over again. So we've got Big Daddy Kugath and his sidekick sitting here just chilling out on the edge of this objective. I was sort of back and forward about what I wanted to do. I had a bit of capture weight on this, which pulled the Zotes back in. So as you can see, he just doesn't have a lot here. He's spawning in more reinforcements now to see what he can do. So we'll just go to a tactical view here and see if we can't find what's happening with everyone. So we're going pretty well. We're keeping them honest on the back point. We're threatening it. We've got the lower point secured pretty well. We've taken that back. Our home objective is very safe. So we just need to keep at it, keep spawning in reinforcements, keep them honest, keep the Furies in, keep the Hounds in, keep trying to shut down their ranged units, and that's just sort of where we're at with that. We're getting to a pretty good place here with the points lead. We're starting to pull away a little bit with the double cap and the threatening of the back objective. So he's going to have to make a big push on 1 to 2 objectives. We're getting pretty close now to them needing to, at the very least, double cap, if not triple cap, to beat us. If they triple cap, they'll obviously beat us, but the chances of that happening with the capture weight we have on the top objective is very unlikely at the moment, and we are just getting more and more summons into this bottom objective, which is what I wanted to do. I'm trying to use my Hounds up and Furies up the top here just to keep them on this objective. Like, I don't want them to spread out. These units over here are ones, yeah, so as you can see, the dogs are now going to go over and try and finish off these few units that have just routed, that have been mismicroed, to try and really just keep them on this objective, where if they leave that objective, I'll put something on there to take it. So now we've got archers firing straight over into the Furies, into our units at the base here. These Chaos Warriors of Nurgle have paid the absolute toll, but have been there for a good while as the dreaded Silver Knights get spawned back in again. I decided to, instead of straight down the pipe spawn Furies, to start spawning some from the side. It's a longer travel time, but it is what it is. So they're going to pay a bit of a toll on the way in as everything turns, but then it also allows us to just fight on this bottom objective completely unchallenged. And then you can just have a look at some of the debuffs of this Treeman. So he's getting the icon debuffs. He's getting... He's getting the wounds and he's getting the warrior bane, so he's getting quite a lot of debuffs to his stats there. His weapon strength is down low. It's very good. So again, those furies pay the toll, but they're doing exactly what they need to. They're just wasting ammo, so they're firing volley after volley, probably too much ammo than they need. This is probably the playstyle of Nurgle that I've had the best luck on. He's just this absolute tide of units that can just heal. I've tried a few other builds that haven't worked too well, but this one's been going pretty well so far for me. And the Wood Elves are a very good faction if you can keep their shooting up and you can really start and chip people down and use their cavalry to get around the side. Unfortunately for him, these Zotes would have been a massive impact unit, but just due to the lack of units up here and how much I have around, he can't afford to leave the point, because I could just collapse in on the spearmen then with other units while I can keep them busy, and it's just not great. So he does push me off this bottom objective, which for me is not ideal, considering that there's no guarantee that he won't be able to push. But the fact that most of his units are down there and he shouldn't be able to take this objective, the single cap should see us through. So we decided to not put the dogs in down there because we did lose it. We want to come in and start and threaten this back objective to see if we can pull some more units off. So we spawn in some more spawn, which are unbreakable again, and we're going to start and send them over to see who they can pick on. We've got a few marauders in here still just working around. The treeman's almost dead. So he has got a lot down here, and he did take the capture weight, but everything's very beat up. He's got some units of archers that are out of ammo. He does have some treekin, but if we again can get the capture weight back on that objective, we'll definitely win. But at this point, the single cap is going to be plenty. So we're just sort of helms deeping this last zone, as they say. A lot of these are terminology I learned from the Discord and watching other videos. It's very funny. They stick to you when they're in the back of your mind all the time. Sometimes you don't even mean to say them, but you hear it so often that you just say it. We've got some more Chaos Furies coming in again, just to harass. At this point, we're about harassing. We're not even going to unsummon anything. We're just going to keep throwing everything in to keep as many units away from this objective as we can, as we sort of end up doing a full push to this last objective to try and pull a lot of units off. If he deviates a lot of these units over here, we can just send these few units that are healthy for us and winning straight back to the objective and retake that in time. He'd still need quite a little bit of time, a few minutes, if I'm not mistaken, to take that objective. But Big Daddy Kugath doing well for himself. He just sat there, 2156 value, didn't pay for himself, but also didn't really have to get involved too much. If he got involved in melee, he'd easily pay for himself. But we'll have a look at some of the values after the battle is finished. And that will about round it out. So that was a nice little victory for Nurgle. I think for every one I win, I lose about 6 or 7. So that was very nice. Let's have a little bit of a look at the replay here. Have a look at some value. So from the original army, cultists, I think I've got them at about 1,050 gold value. So didn't pay for themselves massively. And it's really weird with cultists. They don't always pay for themselves, but they always seem to do really well no matter what. Just bring myself back here as we finish out this video. So same with Kugath. Again, the threat that he poses is sometimes just as good as the gold value. Like most of his gold value was just in his ability to throw artillery and throw his little vomit balls at people. So if he gets involved in the combat, which he more than can, he'll do completely fine as well. As for our chaos units, they didn't pay for themselves too much there nor there. These ones again a bit low. Marauders all pretty much paid for themselves across the board if you combine them out. As for the reinforcements, again, the ones we bought in, most of them pretty much paid for themselves. Definitely on the horses they paid for themselves. The Furies, massive, nearly tripled their cost in paying. Almost paid for themselves again. The Spawn were just a holding unit, and again our Hounds. So our maneuverable units are what really carried us through there with keeping the damage and paying ourselves back. For the Wood Elves, he did a great job with the old Silver Knights. They're always a devastating unit, and I haven't fought them too many times, but they're not nice if you can't hold them down. The Treekin, only got one in, didn't do too great. The Archers and Spearmen, not too bad. But again, we got to shut them down quite a lot with our maneuverable units. The Glade Lord, again, just shooting up the top and getting involved, did quite well. And then the Zotes, we kept them at bay. They still did good damage for what they got to, but we were able to keep them honest on that back objective where they just couldn't really afford to leave. The Treeman didn't get his value back. He was stuck fighting solo for a long time against decent units. And then really good value on these Way Watchers here. And then the rest of it was sort of just as and when. Decent value all across the board, but just the density of Nurgle was a little bit too much for them in the end. But that will round out this first replay. Hope you enjoyed watching it back. casting will improve, the replays will keep coming, and I'll catch you in the next one.